Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Walk Upon a Heathen Path, a podcast where we explore Norse paganism with the honesty, curiosity, and respect for all those that walk this path in their own certain type of way. I am your host, Eric.
And I'm your host, Stevie.
What you're going to see in this podcast and what you're going to hear is a space for seekers, practitioners, and anyone who feels called for in the old ways. We will be diving into myths, the gods, the runes, the spirituality, and the lived experiences of modern heathens just like us. This isn't about strict rules or gatekeeping. This is a safe place for learning and growing. Reflection and community itself. Now, why we started this podcast, actually, Stevie brought this up to me not long ago. It's been pretty quick to explore both of our insights and opinions on paganism itself. Now, Stevie's a little bit more vast in the history, the mythology of itself, and her own practices. And she'll get into why. You guys will understand going into this episode why it was all her idea, and kind of I'm just the voice to help her push along. And we started this because obviously we both have a deep love for paganism. It's not a fad. Stevie's been living this life a lot longer than I have. I mean, how far do you think you've been walking this path?
For 15 years.
Yeah. And she's been doing it pretty religiously in the sense of the word that it's used for. You know, we're both seeking constant knowledge and guidance from the gods, whether it be Freya or Odin, Tyr. We don't really use Loki too much. We're not a big fan, but he's got his purpose out there. And the entire sense is our hope is that each one of our episodes going forward offers some sort of knowledge to anybody out there. Validation, inspiration, or even maybe just a moment where the world feels a little less heavy. We want you to feel like when you're coming to the show, you're sitting around a fire with your kindred and everything just makes sense. Nothing's forced upon you. We're not trying to make you feel like this is the way, right? This is why we've all averted away from past practices. And not saying that those are the wrong ways. They're just not our ways, right? So each week, you can see from us deep dives into all the mythology. Discussions about the deities like Odin, Freyr, Thor, and really all the gods we want to cover. And the goddesses. From Vanir, the Aesir, the Jotuns, elves, dwarves. We're going to hear it all. We're going to talk it all. Practical guidance of runes, rituals, offerings, meditations, the dark myths. Obviously, there's going to be good with the bad. Lesser known stories and their meanings. Or interpretations, right? Everything's always interpreted at this point when it comes to religion. Modern pagan practice, spirituality, personal experiences. And Stevie can really attest to that. She is the vulva for where she's at and a great leader for her people. And occasionally we would love to have guests, other people, and get their insight, their knowledge, their experiences, their inspirations. Why? What made you turn to old pagan ways? Was it a show? Is it the comic book Thor? Doesn't matter. There's no right way to be a pagan. There's only your way, right? So that, I mean, that's kind of what we look forward to this podcast turning into. Really, Steve and I, we just started connecting, and we met on TikTok, of all places to meet people. Now that's just the app to meet people and just grow. What an app! It went from being banned, and now it's back for all of us heathens to interact with. Stevie, if you want to give a little bit of background story of how you fell into the path, what made you get into the ways of what we believe in?
Well, I was never Christian. I was never any of that. When I was a kid, I always had in my dreams an old man that I didn't know who it was at the time. But when I got into like my teenage years, I started researching Norse, and then I found Odin and just kind of dived into all the Norse, from the mythology to, my ancestors are also, and it made me dig deeper within my ancestry and who I became and where I became. So that's where I got started.
Do you believe that just paganism itself, or just the term being a pagan, belongs to a certain type of people or a certain type of race? What's that?
It's everywhere. It's not a race, it's a religion. So anybody's welcome. And it's just the Christian standard of somebody who doesn't believe in God. So, or the Christian ways. It comes from all different backgrounds. So I don't believe in just a ethnicity or whatever for it.
A certain standard that you need to
Yeah,
be a
the
pagan, right?
stigma.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And we don't, I do want to say we do not gatekeep. I have never gatekeeped anything. I've always been here for the knowledge and to share it. And, you know, there's a lot of gatekeepers, and I've heard that within our community of people. And I mean, like, especially on TikTok, because, you know, that's how we connected. And that's how a lot of people I've connected with. So I do want to put that out there. We don't gatekeep.
Not at
So,
all. That'll never be any intention in any of our shows, other than maybe some of the lore that we do interpret and read. Because you will find in some of the lore and some of the Havamals that the women weren't as appreciated as they probably should have been, right? But you will find that there's just as much appreciation in the maidens, and then the shield maidens and warriors themselves, and fair men, right? So we want to stress that, and Stevie and I have had off air and off recording conversations, like the stigma or the stipulation of gender roles doesn't exist in our worlds, at least hers and ours. And if it does in yours, then that's obviously your own dilemma. To each your own. We're not telling you that you're wrong. It's just something that her and I don't believe in, and we don't believe that's what the gods and goddesses wanted us to follow in. So we want to make that very clear going forward. And I've asked Stevie myself for a lot of help in like reading material and her own experiences, because I struggle mostly with runes and their interpretation. And what do they mean for everybody? What do they mean for you? What do they like? You know, a 3 path or 5, 7, 9, right? You're gonna find that 9 becomes a reoccurring number, and it's magical. For people that are new, Odin hung himself for 9 days, 9 nights, no food, no water, no nothing, and you're gonna see the number 9 populate through all the lore and all the mythology and stories that we tell through this. And it's just a small tidbit, right? And it's just gonna grow. That's our expectation, is that it just grows. And even if it's just a conversation between her and I, it's a conversation between her and I, right?
right.
We both have a lot to say.
We do, but let's not forget about the 9 charm herbs. Not many people know what that is. So we'll discuss that on our channel, and I'll help inform people because I think that's very, very important. So
Agreed. That's something I lack into, not just the runes, but the charms and the rune casting. We're both different in our knowledge, obviously. You guys are going to find out, but we're going to be extremely open to everyone's interpretation. You know, hers, my own, and the outside world itself. We don't want to disclose to anybody or anything that this is just the way it is.
yes.
Go ahead, and then like later, we're gonna learn more in the space of all gender backgrounds of, starting from Ymir, you know, Muspelheim and Niflheim, and how that came about in the creation of the world, and then the 9 realms, 9 once again, right? We've already said it 3 times now. We're going to honor the gods in certain ways. We're going to help try to teach everybody ways to build your own altars. If that's something you want to get into, pay respect to the gods. Like, it's not going to be all blood rituals. So, like, once you start learning, there's no right way or wrong way to be a pagan. There's a wrong way. Your kids can get into it. If you look back into it, all the modern day holidays derive from pagan rituals. Stevie's having technical difficulties over there. Currently, she's recording on her phone, and she's working on improving her situation as far as recording goes. So we're gonna bear with her for the time being.
Hey, this is just me. This is me. I'm clumsy. I'm not tech savvy. That's why we got Eric over there.
Apparently, I've got a face for radio, folks.
Right.
But your kids can get into it. So Halloween is just a time from when the veil was the thinnest, and we could connect with our ancestors that were on the other side. Christmas, you have the 12 days of Yule. I myself just built a Yule wreath for my house, and I took Stevie's advice of putting. Please help me with the crystal.
Which one? Oh, the selenite.
Selenite, yes. Selenite above the door. According to her, And I believe it. I believe it. She said it. The bad energy coming in this house from somebody else, that crystal's going to break. And listen, you better go out and rethink about yourself.
That's right.
That's it. So you're going to learn about crystals. You're going to learn about healing in different ways that aren't exactly what we know now.
That's right. I mean, I got some ways we can all heal because I'm in med school, the holistic way. So I'd like to add that into here too. And because that my religion is the reason I chose the holistic to honor Air. And she's a very main deity I work with personally. So obviously we're going to go over her and talk about what she does and how to work with her. So
I hope this tickles your ears. I hope it makes the inner pagan in you question everything you never understood before. Why do I have to believe in this way? Why do my parents think this is the path of life? We're gonna have to add a technical difficulty counter to Stevie's side here for a second, because we're on 2. Consider this your call to action, or for a lack of celestial terms, your call to Valhalla, right? This is your way to try to grow with a community that's been quietly in the background for way too long. And whatever it may be, for me, getting into this religion was COVID. If anybody remembers, back in 2019, the saga Vikings came out that covered Ragnar Lothbrok and his son Bjorn Ironside and Ivar the Boneless and all the human heroics that we all know, and Lagertha. That's what got it for me. It was their devout being to just honor the gods, right? Not to live in such a way that was a set course of path, but it was their own interpretation of what a good and honorable life would be. And that's what we want to try to express. Like, you don't have to follow a book. You don't have to follow a testament, a rock that was carved into. You don't have to. You're capable of making your own interpretation, and that's what we want to make sure everyone understands. It's okay to say why. So going forward, we do have a Discord channel that Stevie created where we will eventually drop that link and plug it in here within the next episode or 2 once our bearings a little bit more established. But I hope this first episode of our introduction has gotten you guys to go, that makes some sort of sense. It doesn't have to make entire sense, but it makes a little sense, right? So until then, please continue walking upon the heathen path until the Norns align our fates again. We'll see you later. Bye.